Just kidding. Nobody can hear you. Awesome. Welcome. All right, guys, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Welcome to the Choose a Change 90-Day Re-Entry Program. If you are a visitor here or new to this program, we welcome you and we are glad you're here. Many of us walk into these rooms not sure of what to expect, but many of us stayed because we saw real people with real problems who had real hope. This 90-day reentry program is a self-supporting group sponsored by the Choose a Change Foundation. There's no fees or dues to attend this class, but we do encourage donations from our members and anyone who believes in what we are doing. The only requirement for membership is a desire, a sincere desire to change. So if you're ready to change your life, then you're in the right place. Through this program, you will learn the tools, resources to finally change your life forever. And you will find a support system or a relationship-based support system to keep you going. For many of us, there was no easy way out of the mess that we created in our lives. Many of us. Even if it wasn't your fault. But the good news is that there is a way out if you will choose to believe in the impossible. If you will choose to believe in the impossible. It's a powerful statement. The reason I use it is because many people that I work with, many of us in our lives, whether you've come out of prison or rehab center or just tragedy or selfish living or just confused in life. It doesn't matter where you come from. What I've learned is that we get shipwrecked in life sometimes and we need help. And many of us literally get in a position where we're just going to literally believe in the are going to need to believe for the impossible for your life. How many agree to that? That there's situations in life that, man, they're just, you can't see no way out. I know the feeling. So, I was reading, part of what I do here, guys, my name is Orlando Salinas. Welcome. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the founder of this organization called the Choose a Change Foundation. And we are sitting in the Choose a Change 90-Day Reentry Program. Everyone that's here usually comes in through the parole office, probation office, or rehab. And my job, or my passion, is to help you change your life. I know what it takes to change your life. I know how hard it is, and I know what it takes. So I want to read something to you. I wasn't going to read this, but part of what I do in here is called personal growth, personal development. In other words, there's some things in your life that have to change. Would you agree to that? Changing them and developing new habits, which is what we're going to talk about today, is the hard part. But I'd like to read something, one of the things that caught my attention. I read this in prison, believe it or not. Listen to it. It's called Personal Philosophy is like the setting of the sails. Personal philosophy is like the setting of the sails. Listen to what he says. He says, in the process of living, the winds of circumstances blow on us all. An unending flow that touches each of our lives. We have all experienced the blowing winds of disappointment, despair, and heartache. Why, then, would each of us in our own individual ship of life, all beginning at the same point in life, with the same intent and destination in mind, arrive at such different places at the end of our journey? Why? Have we not all been blown by the circumstances or by the winds of circumstances and buffeted by the turbulent storms of discontent? What guides us to different destinations in life? That's not a question. What guides us to different destinations in life is determined by the way we have chosen to set our sails. The way the way that each one of us thinks is the key word here. The way that each one of us thinks makes the major difference in where each of us arrive. The major difference is not the blowing of the wind, it's the setting of the sails. You know, and there's more to that. I mean, there's a really, really good article. But the reason I was thinking about it, I just came across it. And this is exactly what we do here. The idea is that we got in a mess in our lives because we were blown by the winds of life, whether it be, like I said, prison, whether it be rehab, whether it be tragedy, drugs and alcohol. Didn't even put that, but that's what rehab is. Whatever it may be for you. But that's how we wound up here, or that's how we wound up in the mess that we have come, that we are in, and we want to change it. And this is what this class is all about. In this room, I teach something I call the 7 major keys to life change. And the keys are right here. And I like to put them in step form because there's just something about climbing. That there's some climbing to do when it comes to life change and success and overcoming in life. There's some climbing to do. But first you have to want it, which is what the first step is. You have to want something better for your life. And in this, and because we're a Christian organization, the second thing is I believe you need Jesus Christ in your life. That's what I believe. Now you don't have to agree with me, but I'm telling you that's what I believe. And in this room you'll find out why I believe that. The third thing that we learn here is that mindset or philosophy, the way you think, which is what I just told you here, is the key ingredient to life change, period. The fourth thing is attitude, which we spoke about last week. Attitude is a key ingredient to how far you go in life. Habits is the fifth thing. Habits is what I'm going to talk about today, so I'm not going to say nothing there. And then lifestyle is also a key ingredient. And then why all this is so important is because all this takes you to this. Results. And many of us here know what results is, which is the name of the game. It doesn't matter what we think, how we feel, where you come from. All you got to do is look in the mirror, look at your life, and this is your results of how you've responded to the winds of life. And here, what I want to help you do is set some different sails for your life. Because did you know that the same sails that brought you here, or the same wind that brought you here, can take you somewhere else? Right? Because you can use the circumstances as an excuse to quit or as a reason to succeed. Does that make sense? I started my life journey in prison 27 years ago. That's where I started. I thought I'd never make it out. I thought I would never be able to change. I thought a vato loco forever like me could not change. And I found out that I could. And when I found out that I could, I spent the rest of my life to this day figuring out how to do that. And part of that is what I do here. I want to teach you how to do that. So no matter where you come from or how far down you went, I can help you. For today, I want to talk about change. I mean, habits, which is the fifth major key to life change. There's a powerful quote I have here that I want to share with you. Listen to this about habits. The reason most people do not have a happy, joyous, and fulfilling life is because most people don't have a happy, joyous, and fulfilling habits. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. I like that. So that's what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to read a scripture. It's out of Luke 14. I'm actually going to read two scriptures out of Luke 14. I'm going to read Luke 14 and Acts 17 too. So here we go. Let's get this show on the road. Luke 4:16. It says like this. This is Jesus. He was walking the earth. And here's what was happening. He went to Nazareth, it says, where he had been brought up. And on the Sabbath day, he went into the synagogue, as was his habit. And he stood up and read. He went into the synagogue, as was his habit. Acts 17:2. This is talking about the Apostle Paul. It said like this. As was his habit, or as was his custom, Paul went into the synagogue on the third day, on three Sabbath days, and he reasoned with them about the scriptures. Habits is nothing new in our lives. So let's talk about habits today. How many of you have bad habits? There you go. So how many of you got good habits? So we have them, right? We all have habits. Did you know Aristotle, I was learning a little bit about Aristotle. What's his first name? Anybody? Aristotle? I forgot his first name. He's a philosopher. Who has not heard of Aristotle? You have not heard of Aristotle? Who else? Aristotle was a great philosopher. In fact, let me read a little bit about him. Aristotle, he was a Greek philosopher from the 322 BC. Was an ancient Greek philosopher and scientist, one of the greatest intellectual figures of classical antiquity, antiquity, which or of ancient times, and the Western history. He was the author of a philosophical and scientific system that became the framework, listen closely, and vehicle for most Christian scholars and medieval Islamic philosophy. Even after the intellectual revolution of the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the Enlightenment era, Aristotle concepts remained embedded in the Western thinking. That's a lot to unpack, but just know this, that Aristotle was way before Christ. By the way, anybody know what BC and AD mean? That's what it means. That's exactly what it means. That's AD. You know what it means, though? It means the year of the Lord. After deity, that's right. But it actually, in Greek, it means what he just said. Yep. I don't know how to say it. Dionoma or Diomo? Dionome, which means the year of the Lord. Anyway, that just nor here nor there, but I learned that today, so I wanted to share that. Make myself look smart. In any case, this philosopher made a major impact in our history of the world, of humanity. And a lot of his philosophies are used today, even in the Western world. In fact, a lot of his philosophy is what this is, which is in the Bible, which is what I teach today. Why am I telling you all that? Because Aristotle said, and today it has been confirmed, that 95% of everything we do in life is through habits. He figured that out way back then. Everything we do is by habits. We're creatures of habits. That's how we are. That's who we are. And you can't change that. That's who you are. But what you can change is what habits you have. And that's what we want to talk about today. So I want to talk about habits, good and bad, today. We all live some kind of habitual life. There's certain things we do every day. Every day, there's my lifestyle is full of habits. You know, wake up in the morning, I drink my coffee, I go walk, I come to church, I go to prayer, I go to work. I mean, there's a lot of habits involved in your life. And it's important for you to understand this. And you're going to learn that here today. Why I'm going to talk about why habits are so important. How much habits affect your life and you don't even realize it. How to change habits. And I'm going to give you a few habits you need to develop and a few habits you need to get rid of. How many have habits that you know you need to get rid of? There you go. So we're gonna help you with that. So let's look first at the habits. Everybody knows what habits are, right? Well, I looked it up in the dictionary or Google, and here's what they said: what the word habit means. Habit is something, a usual way of behaving, something that a person does often in regular or repeated ways. I like the synonyms. What is that the correct word? Synonyms, relating words. I like them. I wrote a few down. Continuous, constant, continual, perpetual, persistent, non-stop. That was related to my drug addiction right there. Because it was consistent. It was perpetual. It was persistent. Let us have those kind of habits in our lives. So, and let me see, what was that? Let me give you one more definition. An automatic reaction to a specific situation. Would you like to say something, sir? We got a mic for you. And it's important because that way they can see you. They can hear.
I was just wondering how an individual develops these habits.
I'm going to answer that question today. But before I get there, let me answer this question. Why are they so important to understand? And for that reason, because we don't know how we develop them or how to get rid of them. In his book, The $1 Million Habits, Brian Tracy, and I used to read a lot of books that said millionaire, I'd read them. I still haven't gotten to the million yet, but I'm learning the habits. And that's important to do. In his book, there's 3 things you need to understand about habits, he says. He says, how many here have already asked that? He said, one thing. Here's the first thing you need to understand. There's 3 things, he says, are important. He starts with this. I don't know if this is his opening or intro, but he said there's 3 things you need to understand about habits. Number 1, good habits. No, listen to this. Form good habits and make them your master, rather than allowing bad habits to form and becoming your master. And isn't that what alcohol and drugs do to us? Right? Or pornography? Or whatever it may be. Right? These bad habits were formed and they become our masters and you don't even realize it. Smoking. So what he's saying is that good habits, make good habits and make them their master. And this is what we want to talk about today. Rather than allowing bad habits to form and becoming your master. The second thing, this is important to understand, is that good habits, and I like this one, good habits are hard to form. We're going to get to more about this, but listen closely. Good habits are hard to form. But they're easy to live with. You got that one? Makes sense, right? I said, wow, I like that. Good habits are hard to form. It took me time to form my good habits. But man, they're easy to live with. You know what the opposite of that is? Bad habits are easy to form. But man, they're hard to live with. I said, wow, that makes a lot of sense. The third thing, And here's the good news. All habits are learned and developed. You know what that means? That means that they can be unlearned. And that's the goal of recovery. So I want to help you unlearn some bad habits that you might have today, along with a few other things. So remember, almost everything we do in life, from the moment you wake up to the moment you lay down, is a combination of habits. So, changing your habits, you actually don't change bad habits. You actually replace bad habits with good habits. That's how it actually works. Because the thing is, let me talk about drugs and alcohol, because many people in here, that's the problem we had. If we leave drugs and alcohol alone, what's going to happen is there's going to be this big old gap of time that we don't know what to do with. Because we were so used to drinking and drugging. Remember that, brother? I remember. And in the recovery programs, they teach you this stuff. That you have to now you have to replace the time that you used to do drugs and alcohol, now you have to do something else. So that's how it works. You have to replace it. Otherwise, guess what happens? You go right back. That's the idea. So just keep that in mind. So what you want to start thinking about is what would be the best habits to start developing or replacing that would create a better life for yourself, which is why we're here. We're trying to learn how to build better habits. Coming to this class is a habit. That's why I give people the 90-day challenge. Just come. Because just think about this. There's a lot of people who have a hard time coming every week. It's so simple to do, but we're not used to it, right? We're not used to it. It's not a priority. So the idea that we have to develop that habit. We'll get there in a minute. Assuming that we want a better life, of course, that we want to change our life, that we want a better future, then there's some things that we have to do. There's some habits that we have to develop. There's some things that we need to change. So if we have, in order for us to have some kind of success in life, or in our ministries, or in our businesses, in our marriages, habits is the key. All right? So how do we change or develop good habits? How do we change bad ones, or how do we develop good ones? The same way you develop the bad one is the same way you develop the good one, by repetition. Again, that's why I challenge people. I tell people, give me 90 days of your time and do these things real simple and just start doing them all the time. And let's see what happens. Because I already understand that just because you come to a class, you come to a church service, just because you read a book, isn't going to change you. It's just stepping stones. Habits is really what changes. It's really what you need to change. We've all heard the theory, do something for what? 21 days? And it'll become a habit? Who's heard that before? There you go. Some say 30 days. Some say 90 days. That's why I use 90 days. There's just something about 90 days, But it actually takes longer. 6 months. But you have to start somewhere. But that's why it's so important to challenge yourself. And, in the program of recovery, they teach about 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Just, that's what they teach, because the idea is that you have to develop. Who's been in the program before? And what do? Keep coming back. Keep coming back. What they're trying to help you do, because they can't explain it all to you in one meeting, in one shot. So you just have to keep coming. You're developing the habit. Then you're going to learn some things, which is what I'm doing here. I'm trying to help you learn some things. Well, the theory is really not a theory. It's actually a fact. Because if you do something over and over and over again, it's going to become a simple stuff. That's just how it works. So in this book, I'm going to talk a little bit about this $1 Million Habit book of Brian Tracy. He outlines 12 habits of all successful people. I'm not going to give you all 12. I'm going to give you about 4. But I'm going to give you the ones that I thought were really, really important. Well, some of the first ones. And I think this is really going to help you guys out and in moving forward in life. That's why I'm glad you're taking notes. Good job. It's one of the habits you need to develop. Everywhere I go, I take notes. Everywhere I go. Church service, meeting, conference. Everywhere I go, I take notes. Because there's something about taking notes, about writing something down. I never really go back to my notes. Once in a while I do, but there's something about writing it down. It just does something to the mind. But anyway, in his book, he talks about these 12 habits. So I want to give you a few as we move forward in this class so that you can start some new habits. We want to start replacing some old habits with some new habits. So here we go. The first habit he says you need to, and this is the first one he said, and I thought that was pretty cool. He said you need to learn to start setting goals. Learn to start setting goals. In other words, develop the habit of setting goals. Who's ever set goals before? Who's ever failed at it? It's not easy to do. When I first heard this, guys, listen closely. When I first heard this about setting goals, I was in prison. I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I just wanted to tell me how to change my life, how to make money. And they tell me set goals. It didn't compute. It just didn't compute. Didn't make sense to me. But because I had to learn so many other things before I understood that idea. Listen to what he says about goal setting. You must develop the habit of being goal orientated. What is being goal orientated? What this means is that not only must you start writing down goals, you must think about your goals on a daily basis. Prioritize what's important on a daily basis. Setting goals. Where are your goals? Well, I'll show you this in a minute. He says, make a list. Write down your goals on a regular basis. You must keep your goals in your mind constantly. You must be thinking about your goals when you go to sleep and when you wake up. Now, some of you might be thinking, man, that's pretty crazy. That sounds pretty fanatical. My response to that is twofold. Number one, we're all fanatical about something. You're already thinking about something all day long. The problem is you don't choose it. It's put in front of you and you take it. That's the problem. You don't believe me? So then if you don't choose your habit or what you're thinking about, then you're not being goal orientated. He said like this, I submit to you that you are already fanatical about something. We all are already thinking about something. Tell me what you think about when you are laying in your bed trying to fall asleep, he says. Are you thinking about your problems? Are you thinking about your problems at work? What are you thinking about? Or are you thinking about your favorite reality show? Which many of you do. What happened on whatever show it is. I don't watch TV. What's going on in so-and-so novela? Or are you thinking about what's going on Facebook? I got to admit, I'm always thinking about what's going on Fox News. I want to know what's going on in the world. But not, yes, I am. I'm always thinking about that. But I'm always thinking about what I'm going to teach here, what I'm going to do. Or maybe you're just in some kind of fantasy land world, which many of us wind up staying there. And you know what happens when you're in fantasy land? You get depressed. You get depressed. And then you wonder why your life is so miserable. Because you're not focused, you're not goal orientated. You have to learn to set goals. And there's so much. I do a whole class on goals. I mean, when I first heard this, I didn't understand it. Let me show you. Today, what I do is, this is my calendar. This is what I live by, my calendar. You know, I'm still old school. I put a lot of things on my phone now. I'm learning calendar, but really I like writing things down. So this is what I do. Like today, you know, I went to, what is today? Wait a minute, that's the wrong day. It's good to do. What's today? Today's the 14th. That's the wrong month then. Today is the 14th. So I just went to a quartz place or a cabinet place. I went to one of my job sites. I went to send an email to a judge. I went to started working on my presentation today. I talked to my painter. I talked to my guys in Pedro, and came to choose the change. But this is just daily. You know, I just write things. I remember something, I write it down. But one of my habits is that I come to prayer, or I come to prayer in the mornings. I come to prayer 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more. And in my prayer room, I open this book. And I have some goals here. I used to set goals for the year. I'd say, I'm going to do this, and I'd write them down because I learned how to set goals, right? They look good. Had a big old list of goals. But I was never good at accomplishing them. I wasn't goal orientated. I could write them down. So what I do now is I put them into 4s. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Being goal orientated means, it means, what am I going to do the month of October, November, and December? What am I going to accomplish? For you, it could be in a week, you know, or your time here. You know what? This time I'm going to go choose a change. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go see my grandma. You're goal orientated. You have a plan. And you do it. And so I write these down. And then what he says is you have to be looking at your goals. And so then I look at them, and then I say, man, when did I put that goal in? But yeah, I need to do that. Because we forget. You'll forget. And so the reason why most people don't accomplish much in life is because they don't set goals. They don't set goals. I learned this in prison. You should have seen my goal sheet, my goal list when I walked out of prison 21 years ago. It was a whole sheet. And next to the second one. And I had it down to the day. The first day I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my driver's license. I'm going to get my Social Security. I'm going to go apply for a job. I'm going to do, I had it down. And that's why I've been able to accomplish the things I have accomplished, which may not be much for a lot of people. But for me, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. And all because I learned how to set goals. You have to be goal orientated. So you got that? That brings me to the second point. Since you're already thinking about something, no, never mind. The second thing he says, does anybody have any questions about that? No? So learn how to set goals. The next habit you need to learn to do is become result orientated. In other words, think about accomplishing things, which is what I just told you. This is always thinking about the most important things that you must do right now to get results. Successful people make a list of goals that they want to accomplish, and then they prioritize them, which is what I just explained. One way to start learning to be goal orientated or result orientated is to ask yourself, what goal or activity would you want to make sure you would want to be done before you were called out of town, or before an expected appointment, or before the end of the month, or before the end of the year? Like right now, I have several little things I want to. That's how you become result orientated, and then you just discipline your life to do that. Now, I'm not telling you this stuff is easy. What I'm telling you is this is what successful people, millionaires, do. You become learning how to set goals is a good habit to start doing. Becoming result orientated. And the third one is become people orientated. Anybody in business, especially if you're in sales, you have to become a people person. Am I right or wrong? You have to. Well, I'm right. You have to become people orientated. Even if you're not in sales, people are who make business. Listen to this. You must keep in mind that everything that you will achieve or accomplish in life will be with the help and encouragement of other people. Period. Nobody's an island. Nobody reaches the top by himself. Nobody. You know, a lot of us, especially us men, I don't need nobody macho. There's a lot of men like that. Prideful. We don't want nobody to tell us anything. So and a lot of us are just don't know how to communicate, so we stay away. But you need to learn to be a people person. Become people orientated. Get to know people. My son was like that. Ozzy. He didn't want to talk to anybody. Because really, that's how I was. I just want to be left alone. I talk to you, but I just want to be left alone to my own little world, my own little thing. And a lot of us are like that. But not if you want to be successful. Not if you want to change your life. Not if you want to be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. You have to be people orientated. So always think, what do other people want and need from me? Try to help others. How can I help others meet their goals? That's how you become people orientated. You want to help others so that they will want to help you back. And here, let me give you a little secret. Even if they don't get all bent out of shape. You did your part. Well, let me give you a little bit more information. People are going to let you down. They're going to let you down. Families, mother, father, sister, brothers, they're going to let you down. That shouldn't stop you from continuing to be a people-orientated person. Here's a fourth one. Health-orientated. Remember, we're talking about how to change our life, how to be successful. Millionaire habits. Health-oriented. I started being a health-orientated about 20 years ago, and I'm so glad that I did. Someone told me today that I didn't sound 61. I'm 61. And I said, man, thank you. But he was 69, and he didn't sound like he was 69. So that was good. But because I started a health-orientated mindset, I started a habit of health, better health, not a perfect diet, no, but I've been able to keep it, weight down, healthy. Chavaria? Never mind. Anyway, and here, let me give you one last one, and this will be the last one. And here's really the foundation of learning to develop these new habits. Learn the habit of self-discipline. This is really the foundational habit that makes everything else be possible. Foundational. It's foundational. Self-discipline. In the Bible, it's called the fruit of the Spirit. Here, a very good definition of discipline for you. Here's a very good definition of discipline for you. Listen closely. The ability to make yourself. That's a key right there. The ability to make yourself do what you know you should do. What you know you should, when you should do it, even when you don't feel like it. That's a good definition of discipline. I do it every morning. I don't feel like getting up. I do not feel like getting up. But guess what? I do it anyway. I snooze about 10 times. I'm not even kidding, right, babe? My wife is back there. You want to say something? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'm not happy with that. Believe it or not, I just still haven't quit. I still set my clock at 6. But I get up at 7. Hey, but I don't quit. I'm still trying. That's right. Stop trying. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. You see, anyone can do it when they feel like it. Right? Anybody can do it when they feel like it. It's when you don't feel like doing it and you do it anyway that makes all the difference in the world. Developing good habits. This is when you eventually develop self-discipline that makes everything else possible. So let's close with listing a few habits. Does anybody have any questions here? I had a few habits here that, yeah, go ahead. You have a few minutes. I'm going to go through this really quick because I want to answer the final question, or the answer to answer your question, sir, about how do you develop it? How do you do it?
Like, why is it so simple for some people to pick up on this? Not even having to go through classes, and then there's other people that don't need that don't even want to comprehend this kind of thing.
Okay, I didn't understand that question.
Like some people, they just naturally
Do these things.
Yeah, do this, and some people, even if they hear it, they're like, "Man, that's not for me."
That's a good question. That's kind of like asking why people don't want to change their lives. Yeah, here you go. That's a really good question.
That's external influences on us from whatever we're looking at, television, whatever we're paying attention to. As his question was, how come people can do it and others can't? That's how I see it. Is that
Well, I think the question was, why do some people don't do it and other people have such an easy time doing it? Is that the question? Yeah. In other words, why did we wind up in a mess that we did, right? But others, went to school, graduated, got a college degree, right? Or why did I mess up my life and this young man is disciplined and getting a job, knowing how to take care of his money? How did he get it? That's what you're asking, right? It's a good question. Go ahead, sir.
Is there anybody without any problem?
So let's ask him. How did you get your attitude? How would you, if you don't mind me asking, because I know this is my sobrino, and I know he's doing a great job in his life, trying to be successful, trying to move forward in life. But he's only 20, 21? He's only 21. Has his own car, has his own place. How do you do that? Why does this other 21-year-old already going to prison or an alcoholic or a drug addict He could have done that too. So let's ask him. What was the difference? You mind telling us? Here you go.
So I feel like everybody comes to a point in their life where they get tired of the habits that they have, and they eventually just have to, some people struggle with those habits and continue on, or it has a hold of them. But you just eventually get tired of the way you're living, and you got to want better for yourself. And some people become obsessed with that life that they want for themselves. So just to do better in life.
Well, you have to, but the question, I think this is a really important question. Why did you get there? What triggered you? What made you say, you know what? I don't want to be a loser. I want to have money. I want to, where you can, because drinking is fun. Especially when you know that when we're young, we're drinking is fun. Doing drugs is fun. I mean, it's fun. So how does a young man, that's a really good question. Go ahead.
I think it's a situation that either makes or breaks you.
Environment?
So the environment that I was placed in, I grew up in a 3-bedroom house with 13 of us living in the house. And I was, there was times when we were young where they would say, I would tell my grandpa, oh, I'm hungry. He would give me a piece of bread with some mayo and tell me, fold it in half, porque sea un taco. Like, those were struggles that I went through. But in order to get myself out of those struggles, I chose to go down the wrong path. I know that I've been smart my entire life. Book smart, I got straight A's. I was good in school. But I chose to turn around and sell drugs. I chose to turn around and do these things because it was easy money for me. It was a way for me to support myself, to get the things that I wanted without having to ask my family. But I've had friends that were in the same boat with me, and they never been to prison. They've never been arrested. They never touched drugs. Because of the situation that they were placed in, their mindset didn't allow them to want to be in that situation anymore. I chose a different way to get myself out of the situation, which led me to a worse
outside your environment.
because of the environment that I
you
was
were in.
placed in.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Go ahead.
This gentleman in front of me, he's 21 years old, and I think I heard him say he got tired of it. Is that correct? I'm 69 years old, and I'm tired of it.
I was about to say that. I didn't want to say that, because I know I spoke to you, but and I wanted to make that differentiate, and that's what you're asking. Why did it take him 69 years and him 20? That's what you're asking, no? That's his question. That's a really good. Well, man, that's a really, really good question, Hugo.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people come through here too, and they don't
Get
want
it.
to. They don't
Okay.
want to.
So let me give you. Go ahead. Let me give you my perspective. And this is why I teach what I teach. Number one, and the reason I start here, what I desire, is because here's what I teach in these classes. It's not easy to get there. Here's what I say to answer that question. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for you. I don't know what it's going to take for you. I don't know what it took for you. For you, maybe it was prison. Maybe it was confusion, depression. I don't know. Threat of going to prison. It took me 34 years. Right? But here's what it took for me. I think this is an important question. I think I'll stay on this question. That pivoting point is crucial. But I just want you to remember, it's a choice. That pivoting point is crucial in life. And I hope that we all decide to make this point. I don't know what it's going to take for you. What is it? A death in the family? Cirrhosis of the liver? Another trip to prison? Another trip to rehab? Loss of family? What is it going to take for you? I don't know. What I can tell you is what it took for me. And for me, it was robbing a store for one more hit of cocaine on my daughter's 4th birthday and going to prison and getting caught, by the way. And I remember I devastated my life, devastated my family, devastated my future, devastated everything, not thinking that I was going to go to prison for the rest of my life. Here's what I did. I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And here's what I said. I said, God, I know I don't deserve your mercy. I don't deserve your grace. I don't deserve anything. I'm a loser. I'm a loser father. I'm a loser husband. I'm a loser son. I'm a loser. And I look in the mirror and all I saw was a monster. And I said to myself, God, even if I go to prison for the rest of my life, please help me change that monster in the mirror. That's where I started 27 years ago. And this is what I meant when I said earlier, when I found out that I could change, I wasn't even knew it. I didn't know if I could change it. All I knew is that I wanted it, which is where it starts right here. You have to want it. And then, not only do you have to want it, you have to want it bad enough to fight through the temptation, to fight through, your why factor. That's correct. It's called a why factor. That's exactly what it is. And that's it. I just didn't want to be a loser anymore. That was it. For me, that's all it took. That's all it took. That's what it took. You know? So now that day, things didn't get better. In fact, I did go back to prison. I was 34 years old. And I had to go back to prison for another 6.5 years. And then I walked out of prison at the age of 40, 21 years ago. But those 6.5 years, I learned what I teach today. That's what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is not just theory, it's a fact. This is what it takes to change your life. There's no easy way. Why do some people take it and why people don't? I don't know. Beats me, Jim Rome used to say. I don't know. It's a good question. But once you got it, once you get that why factor, so let me give you at least a more tangible thing. If you want to change your life, you want to stay sober, you're going to have to force yourself to do things very uncomfortable. You know, especially when it comes to alcohol. Alcohol can be is a physically addicting thing. You know about that, right, Greg? Just like smoking. But other people did it. You can too. Craig did it. You can too. How many years, Craig? 2 years in April? How many years before that? Yeah. How many years before that? 14 years sober. And how easy was it to go back? One beer. Threw it all away. Thought you had everything figured out. The mic.
So thought I had everything conquered and figured out because I went 14 years, but that desire was doing push-ups, waiting on me to slip. And when that mindset is not right, all it took was one beer. And next thing you know, I was right back to where I was, but worse, affecting finances, affecting family, affecting friends, affecting life choices. So once you come to the realization that there is no second chance, there is no ever going back, you've got to get the mindset that says, either I'm going to do what it takes to be successful and stay away from this stuff, or I'm going to continue to falter and ruin my life and affect everybody else around me.
Yeah. So we're going to have to start doing something different. You know, we're already past our time. You'll have another 5 minutes, guys. Listen, I was going to give you a list of things you need to let go of. Some of us already know, right? There's some things you need to let go of, other things you need to develop. That's the key. But let me tell you, one of the things, you know what to do. You know what to do. A lot of us know what to do. So let me help you understand. This is why I do the 90-day challenge. I tell you, come for 90 days. Force yourself to do it. And let's see what happens. And But one of the things that you learn as you develop habits is there's two key ingredients or two keys to developing new, better habits. The first key is what I call mastering the art of showing up. Mastering the art of showing up. This is one important little key ingredient to developing new habits. Mastering the art of showing up. What do I mean by that? In other words, I like to use the illustration when I started getting, wanted to get healthier. I wanted to start getting healthier. So I started reading books. And I read this book, and he was talking about learning the art of showing up. And what he meant and what he was explaining is that in order for you to develop new good habits, you need to start doing something new, and you got to do it consistently, right? But don't start like so many people want to get healthy, so they buy their shorts, they buy their tennies, they get their membership, and they're gonna go to gym 5 times a week, and they in their mind that's what they're gonna do. And what winds up happening? They don't. So what this art of showing up showed me was that start small. Learn to start small and be consistent. In other words, just show up. So he gave this analogy or this example. He says, if you're going to start getting healthier, here's what you want to do. Try to make it easy for you as possible to show up. He says, so put your shorts in the morning, at night, next to your bed, your tennies. And in the morning when you get up, don't hit the snooze button. And I did it. I promise I did this. He said, just turn around. Don't even go to the bathroom. Put your shorts on, your shoes on, and go around the house. And that's it. That's it. That sounds pretty easy, right? See what it does to the mind? I said, wow, that's pretty simple. That's learning the art of showing up. Do something so simple that the mind says, man, that's easy. Your pride will say, man, I can do that. Easy. And I did it. I literally did this. I'm telling you. The next day I got up again around the house. Around the house. I went back to bed. But I got up every day. Before you know it, I was going around the block. Every day. Before you know it. And listen, I developed a habit that today I just do it. It's a habit. Get home. You know what, babe? I'm going to go walk. I just go because my body wants it. I developed the habit. The art of showing up is the key. You were going to say something, sir?
Yeah, I didn't want to come. I showed up.
There you go. The art of showing up. You were willing to show up. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. And so then the second key is what I just explained. Make it easy to show up. Make it as easy for you to show up as possible, whatever it takes. If you know you're going to come to this meeting, start thinking about it in the week before. I'm just going to go over there and I'm not going to do this. Start thinking about that you're going to come and just show up. Pretend like you're going to say, I'm going to show up, but I'm not going to learn anything. Just show up. And that's what I still do to this day. I don't like going to the gym. I really don't like going to the gym. And the way I psych myself out is that, you know what, I'm going to go, but I'm just going to go in there for 5 minutes. I'm serious. This is how I do it. And sometimes I'm just there for 5 minutes. But guess what? I show up. Developing habits is the key to changing your life. There's a guy named Eric Thomas. Anybody heard of him? You got to look him up. Eric Thomas. He calls himself the hip hop preacher. It's a Christian. And he says, success is in the routine. Success is in the routine. In other words, it's something that you do on a consistent basis that you finally get to results. Success. Because let me tell you something. These keys are going to take you to some kind of results, whether it be good or bad. Anybody have anything to say while I pass around the donation bucket? I brought my donation today. Learn the habit of donating. You don't have to do. I just a couple bucks, whatever. You don't have to donate, guys. But those of you watching online, you can donate online. You can go to my website. There's people usually donate online, $5, $10, but it's right there. Does anybody have anything to say here? We went over our time. But did anybody learn anything? Awesome. I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.